Alright, so at this point we've created the rough sketches from the geometry that we had worked on before. And in this case, I've actually brought in one of the sketches that I was working on as an underlay, as a background bitmap, using the same techniques we've used before into my right-hand view. The general strategy that I'm going to use here is to actually create the main surfaces first. Now, in this situation, main surfaces are really not all that visible because they're going to be cut out tremendously. So your main surfaces are actually what's going through here in between the holes. So you've got like a poly surface that will be consisting of something of a section like this, where you've got a chamfer on top and a longer, bigger surface in here, which then gets cut into, and then a chamfer running along the bottom as well. Now, I'm actually going to add a little bit of a flat, like a ribbon or a rim running along the bottom, just to give a little bit of resolution to that bottom surface, make it a little bit stiffer, possibly give some more space for all these extruded holes that are going to go through for your pocket creation. And let me go ahead and just modify this geometry somewhat. Make sure that all the control points are turning out. Notice now, if I just modify the bottom control points here, now the curves aren't really they're approximately following this curve right now because we didn't modify all the lines. So make sure that all the control points are turned on, and let's move that down. I'm going to leave this geometry more or less similar and put in a polyline at the front to create that rim we were talking about. And I'm going to make that roughly tangent to the profile, 4 millimeters in length. So now it's constrained, roughly tangent. And let's do the same thing at the rear here. 4 millimeters. Okay. Now we have a line here. I'm going to create a new layer called outer surfaces curves, and copy object the picked from the older 2D profile. And I'm also going to, well, actually, let's modify that right now. Well, I'll assign those rim curves to this outer surface layer as well. Okay, turn on the control points for that and snap it to the rim that we're going to create. Cool. Alright, so now let's go ahead and I'm going to offset this curve now. Hide that inner surface. I'll hide that inner surface too. Simplify things a little bit. And offset curve by 4 millimeters. Now this is going to be just for our reference only, because now if you turn the control points, you'll see that it is a very big or a very heavy curve. I'm going to use that as a scaffolding or just a reference point now to scale um, um, the existing curve for the inner surface. Copy that object to the outer surface's curve layer and do the same thing for the top curve as well. In this case now, I think I'm going to hide those curves. Now they're all black. Maybe it's better off to change the color to something more visible, purple, just so that since it's the same black as the color for the default layer as well. Okay, let's now move this curve to the end of the line there, and we'll do a 3D transform. That didn't end up right. Let's try that again. From the top here, there you go. And turn on the control points, and let's do a (2D) scale on here. Actually, a one-dimensional scale on those control points. Let's look at it in the perspective view. And again, at this point, it is a very visual. This is a lot more of a sculptural object, so that's why it makes sense to do this. It's an injection molded plastic part. It's not mating up to anything else. There's no corresponding female or male part this needs to mate up to, so an eyeball is probably going to give you the better visual result, because it's not just a straight offset, and you can probably play around with it just a little bit. Let's also make sure that hide that. Move it to the to the construction lines that we've created before. And let's rotate this curve. Get the end of that line here. Line it up with the beginning there. Actually, we should have. Yeah. And let's do a rough scale on it as well. Awesome. And let's turn back on